A-line stopped in its tracks. Tracks? Anyway, today's problem isn't the problem, if that's any consolation. As Colorado's legislators danced like no one was watching, the governor talks about bringing them back to tango over unfinished business. The simplest explanation of medical billing that I've ever seen, turning thousands of codes into plain language. Son of a Barista doesn't sound like a dangerous job until the split second it is. The coffee shop community comes to the rescue. And right past Casa Bonita, having fun with diseases. Next. The A-line train to the airport has had its most public faceplant in months. A power outage, a stranded train, passengers waiting for firefighters to lead them out to safety. It's a bummer. Just when we'd celebrated RTD's success, apparently fixing the crossing gate issue that dragged on for a year. So here we are asking again, is the A-line working today? And you know, the answer has to be a resounding no. Meet Oscar. Oscar is a baby. Oscar has already gotten stuck on the A-line twice, here in March and again today. Oscar's mom, Allison, is nervous. Oscar looks displeased. Firefighters free him. It's on to the airport, headed for Disney, later flight. Right after Oscar and his parents grab a drink. We want the A-line to work. For the babies. Here's Steve Steger.
I learned a new word today, pantograph. The non-dictionary definition, it's that metal thing on top of the train that connects it with the power line above. Usually it keeps the A-line working. Today, it shut it down.
The pantograph cranks up and cranks back down, and as it cranks up, it touches the electrical wires. Something happened with that device itself that snagged the wire.
Boom, power was out all along the train, from all the way from Quebec to the airport.
And I was like, what the heck is going on here?
That meant passengers had to do the whole bus dance thing all over again from Central Park Station.
Cross the street, go to track 2.
To the airport.
This is causing a delay for all of us, to say the least.
If you've been following the drama that is the A-line's fledgling first year, you know it's operating under a temporary waiver from the government because of an issue with software. RTD says this has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, today's events don't have anything to do with the FRA waiver or anything that we've been working on with them.
Frustrating, no less. It's no surprise that when you point a camera in a passenger's face in a situation like this, you get an answer like this.
Let me ask you, what's your impression of the A-line?
Oh, it sucks pretty much.
Yet RTD says as big of a nuisance as this is, people get it.
You know, when we have an event like today, I think by far and large people are more forgiving because it's been more time since we've had something like this occur.
Take Kathy, for example.
Today, I think it's just a one-time thing.
She's visiting from out of town, has been here several times, and she says she loves the train to the plane.
And I absolutely love it because we don't get caught in the traffic from Denver to the airport.
And RTD is getting this whole thing figured out. By early afternoon, that first train was on its way to DIA. And the trains are completely back on schedule tonight, and we are sure RTD is thankful that the news chopper was already grounded today when this happened and didn't capture video of any of those 95 passengers who were escorted off that stalled train.
Yeah, we remember that from last year.
Remember that quite well.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. Governor John Hickenlooper is telling state legislators not to go on vacation for the rest of the month, warning that he might call them back for a special session. But he can't force them to reach the deals that they didn't before yesterday's end of session. Can't force them to come up with more money to fix Colorado's roads. Can't mandate a compromise that would keep the state's energy office open. Even the governor admitted today he's not even going to try to revive the idea of forcing energy companies to provide the public with a pipeline map following the House explosion.
If we do have a special session, do you want to see the pipeline mapping issue on the table for it?
You know, that issue is so complex. I'm not sure we could make, it depends. I mean, we'd have to put the special session much further out because I think there's a large amount of information we've got to gather. It's big numbers, right? In other words, to really try to do something like this, we have to figure out how do we work in harmony with the counties and the municipalities and take their data, their information, to make sure that we have, you know, like the Cattlemen's Association, the home builders, all the different stakeholders that are involved in this. They're all going to have strong opinions, and we want to make sure that we allow them a process by which they can be heard. I don't think that happens in a couple of weeks.
The Republican Senate President Kevin Grantham doesn't think that the governor's ideas are going anywhere. He says if the gov could have forced those deals, then they would have already happened. He thinks the special session would just be a waste of tax dollars. We asked you a while back to show us your bills, and you stuffed our email inbox. Chris Vanderveen from our 9 Wants to Know team is putting on a marathon day. In each of 9 News' approximately 2 million newscasts a day, he is highlighting a different medical billing story. And Chris whipped up a little something special for next to explain why the billing process can be so hard to understand.
Meet Joe. Hi. Why do you need to know Joe? Because not long ago, Joe broke his toe. Son of a... Joe's going to help us explain medical bills. Great. Because staff at an ER did a lot of things to Joe and his swollen toe. An x-ray, a few tests, even gave him some meds for his pain. About time. Of course, once Joe left, the real work began. The doctor's notes headed to the hospital's coder, who then translated the words into numbers. Codes, really. This number for the x-ray, this for the meds. In the U.S., there's a current procedural terminology, or CPT code, for everything. Everything. As of last count, there were more than 10,000 CPT codes. Wow. And here's where this gets tricky. Uh-oh. Each hospital can, and often does, assign its own charge to each code. So one hospital's charge for an x-ray might be this, another's might be that. And few will tell you up front what that charge might be. Anywho, get to the point. In Joe's case, the hospital sent Joe's codes to Joe's insurance company, where based upon their negotiations, Joe's insurance agreed on a lower price. Stay with us because this is important. Okay. Problem is, every insurance company has its own negotiations and typically offers multiple plans. In Joe's home state, there were 944 approved plans in 2014 alone. Each one had different premiums, co-pays, deductibles. You get the point. Yeah, it's complicated. And so, what Joe's insurance did for Joe might not be what Mo's insurance will do for Mo. Son of a... Back to the bill. If at any point a code is wrong, it's typically the job of the patient to spot it, not the insurance company. Some estimates suggest 10% of all bills contain errors. Other reports say it's higher. Much, much higher. What the... Once the insurance company has outlined the codes and processed the claim, it'll send an explanation of benefits, or EOB, to the patient, telling him or her what to expect to be billed. In Joe's case, a few weeks later, he received the bill from the hospital. I owe how much? Which, as you might have guessed, was not so low. When he asked if he could forego paying for the work on his now healed toe, the hospital and his insurance replied with one simple answer. No. Pay up, or it's off to collections. This will undoubtedly go.
So we have to thank the very talented Lawrence Gibbs, director here, for providing the voice of Joe. Kyle, the process is complicated. We did this to help walk people through it, but boy, this is why this process can get a little messy.
Yeah, and we tell people in so many instances in life to shop around, but it's not like you can look at your bill, say, I've got this code, I called 3 other hospitals, and here's what they offered me.
They'll tell you it's complicated, Kyle, because there's lots of different types of insurance. That's the answer we keep getting.
Yeah, you're not going to get a straight answer on that stuff.
No.
All right, get ready for your next newscast. Only 18 more to go. With a cup of coffee, pushing about $5 these days, being a barista is serious business. That profession attracts some passionate and talented people. There's even a championship to crown the best baristas. And one of our local coffee makers nearly gave her left arm to win. The story inside this coffee shop in Colorado Springs starts like a horror film and ends like a fairy tale.
I think it's doing very, very well, and so does my surgeon.
Eliza Lovett is our main character.
No relation to Lyle, unfortunately.
Her sense of humor is intact, even if her arm is not.
So I had a bit of an accident.
Eliza was roasting coffee ahead of last month's U.S. Barista Championships in Seattle when the roaster turned into the villain of the story.
I had a medical bracelet that got caught on one of those arms, and it made a few rotations, and that's how the injury happened.
Without getting too gory, Eliza nearly lost her arm. And she nearly lost her source of income, too.
Elizabeth was like, I know that Eliza has lots of flowers and people visiting her at the hospital. I want to do something that actually will mean something to her and will help in the long term.
I'm trying to bring in the money.
Consider Eric to be our heroine's sidekick. One of a few local baristas filling in for Eliza.
I mean, when it was first brought to me, my first response was, yeah.
All right, easy there, Eric. This story needs to be kid-friendly.
Anyway, I definitely was like, absolutely, like I would love to do that.
And they did that. They made sure this tale has a happy ending.
I'm not going to have any lost wages because they're volunteering their time. And I'm receiving all of the money and all of the tips that they make those days. It's like really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Baristas have already signed up to cover Eliza's shifts for the next 2 months. Don't believe what you see on the TV news. There are good people everywhere. If the city of Denver knew that Twitter was this much fun, well, then the city would have created an account a decade ago along with the rest of us. Next gave the city's new handle, @CityOfDenver, a shout out on Next. And they went from about 300 to more than 1,000 followers. I'm not saying that that is the power of the awesome people who watch this program, but you're welcome, Mayor Hancock. And the city's really getting the hang of this newfangled technology. There's their tweet. Hey, Kyle, thanks for the shout out. #fashionably late. #Major Throwback Thursday. There's a gif of Robin Williams from Jumanji. What year is it? They tweeted today, why start tweeting in 2017? We're expanding our digital engagement. We hope to amplify other city Twitter accounts and connect with residents. Yeah, to be fair, there are a bunch of departments and people who are already on. If you have not yet followed the City of Denver, follow them. Give them the business. Come on, they can take it. @CityOfDenver. It's a sign the hail got you, and proof that rhythm is not required to be a state legislator. We'll check the Rockies bandwagon to see if there's room for a few more. An inflatable art with an unusual inspiration. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a car with a custom window treatment, suggesting that it was one of the many victims of Monday's nasty hailstorm. Hail sucks, in all caps. A sharp-eyed next viewer named Laura spotted this on C470 near Morrison, and she wrote into us today. She even knew which segment it was. Most Colorado thing I saw today, Laura said, adding the hashtag, hail does suck.
Picture proof, Mother Nature gave us a not-so-subtle reminder that severe weather season is definitely upon us, but what a difference a day makes. I'm meteorologist Kathy Saban. How about this day? Sunshine, 60s today, 70s tomorrow, 80s for the holiday weekend. Major shift in the pattern as our storm tracks east, producing quite a severe weather scenario tonight. That set up between Wichita, Memphis, Dallas, and Houston. There'll be rotating storms, the chance for hail and wind, while we enjoy sunshine and above average temperatures, not just for the day, but for the entire weekend. Just enough moisture coming in under the ridge that I put an isolated gusty storm in on Sunday just to be safe. Kind of keep an eye to the sky, especially in the foothills. All calm, cool, and dry tonight. Lows in the mid-40s. Sunshine tomorrow. Mid-70s in downtown Denver. Just gets better for the weekend. We have the warmest day coming up on Saturday with 85 degrees, 82 for Mother's Day. Isolated storms on Tuesday, and just spectacular viewing up in the Colorado High Country this afternoon.
Kathy, thanks. Attention, future Rockies fans. We are looking out for you because we don't want you to get left off the bandwagon. I'm telling you, with this team off to its best start in history through 35 games, you would better hurry if you don't want to have to chase the bandwagon down Blake Street and jump on it at the last moment. That's not safe. So get on that bandwagon now as the Rockies are 22-13. They beat the Cubs in 2 out of 3 games. They play the Dodgers tonight, tomorrow night, Saturday, and Sunday. All kinds of opportunities to head down to Coors Field and jump on that bandwagon. Ain't no party like a state capitol party because a state capitol party stops at midnight at the end of the session. They did have some downtime earlier on in the evening, so there was a little bit of a dance party. Now, we can't play the music they were listening to, the Ramones, copyright issues, but we can show you their sweet moves with a little music of our choice. One more time, I think they're calling for a special session. Nah, we'll cut them some slack. It was a long year. Denver's best news anchor Adele Arakawa has seen a lot in her career, and no wonder.
Wait for it.
She wears 2 pairs of glasses at once. Makes total sense when she explains. What's happening next door to Casa Bonita still might not make sense, even after we explain. Next. Our next question comes from a couple of viewers, all wondering why local TV news legend Adele Arakawa is rocking the specs in the TV box.
I honestly didn't think people would care or notice that. I'm wearing glasses. I've worn them for the past couple of weeks, and there is a reason. These are not a fashion statement. I'm having LASIK done tomorrow, on Friday. I've had people call or email and ask, where did you get your glasses? These are 10 years old. I have a pair that are 20 years old, and to be able to see here, wait for it, I have to do this. These are my improvised bifocals, if you want to call them that. So anyway, long story short, as of Monday, no more glasses.
From 6 eyes just down to 2. I've been lobbying for Adele to guest host next prior to her retirement in a couple of months. I'm not trying to publicly pressure her here into doing it, but you all agree that would be sweet, right? That's what I thought. The for lease sign on the building next to Casa Bonita would suggest that it's empty. Peek inside, though, and you'll see an artist who's been at work for months. Our Nicole Bano swung by.
I find the sewing really meditative.
It takes a certain kind of creative
I'm actually just top stitching the edge.
to find such a fitting home for a magnetic mannequin foot.
Fits perfectly on my sewing machine, so that's where it lives.
Nicole Bano is an artist who sees creative potential
It's based off of a smallpox virus.
in just about anything,
They're often like just this pile of fabric.
even a deflated disease she can bring to life.
Especially with viruses and bacteria, they can be menacing, but they can also become large and playful and kind of beautiful.
Nicole's inflatable fabric sculptures
It's a cloud.
put the inflatable tube man to shame.
Yeah, the tube man is kind of the one that everyone thinks of when they see my work. They're like, oh, it's like the tube man.
Nicole's work makes me smile. I mean, it's fun, it's creative, it's abstract, it invites interaction.
The 40 West Arts District secured this temporary space for Nicole
It used to be a Hollywood video.
as her work expands to an international audience.
In about a week and a half, I'm going to Taiwan to install this piece at the Children's Museum there.
Until then, she'll keep working,
It's always fun to see people looking in, wondering what I'm doing.
creating and inflating her art.
It gets kind of magical to watch them like come to life.
For next, I'm Nicole Brennan.
In June, Nicole's going to take her virus sculpture series to the Open Art Festival in Sweden. Swedes love that weird stuff. So last night, Steve Steger and I were joking about a dude in a throwback 9 News video from 20 years ago. Long, blonde, Kurt Cobain-looking hair. Well, he was watching. That's next. So our Throwback Thursday was accidentally a Throwback Wednesday. Remember this guy from Steve Steger's story on the Santa Fe HOV lanes last night? The dude talking about how he needed to ride solo in the HOV lane so he could make his left turn into the Mickey D's. We loved his ride and his hair. He apparently loves Next and was watching. Roy is his name. Roy doesn't have the signature hair anymore, still loves him some Mickey D's. Roy with the good hair will be part of our live studio audience on Next tomorrow. So get amped, and we'll see you next time.